guests from deep out of the fintech industry to tell you more about what's going on, of course, within their venture, as well as giving their views over what's happening in the news. And today I've got Bernadette Wijnings with me. Bernadette, very much welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Bernadette is a co-founder of Blanco, and basically drives the wealth management industry to a large extent now with a very cool platform and RegTech solution. So I think you're doing pretty well. So I'd love to really dive into what's going on there. And we'll definitely use the wealth management perspective also to look a bit at the developments in fintech this week. And I'm really, really looking forward to that discussion. We know each other already for quite a while. And I think we basically similarly started, I think, into this part of the industry. Right. So how long have you been working on Blanco right now?
Well, last Monday we had our first lustrum, so our 5th birthday.
Okay.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's been 5 years now.
Yeah, cool.
5 years and 5 days.
Really nice, really nice. Now, congratulations on that.
And counting.
No, exactly.
Yeah, thanks.
And so tell us a little bit about what you're doing with Blanco at the moment.
What we have built is actually the entire back end of a wealth manager. So there's different modules. Important part is the KYC or the compliance module. There we do things like onboarding, identification, verification, but also suitability reporting, risk analysis of the end client, but also continuous compliance, adverse media, sanction list checking, those kind of things. Yep. So actually MiFID II and AML legislation where we have automated there in that sense. We have a portfolio management system and a broker custodian module. So whenever you would want to start a wealth manager tomorrow, you would need a license, you would need clients and an investment policy, and our software and services could do the rest for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so let's say, what kind of clients are you mostly focusing on then? Is it like larger wealth managers, like private banking entities, or is it more small to medium-sized advisors that are using this software mostly?
Yeah, well, we're focusing on the entire wealth and the entire wealth management vertical. So that is indeed independent wealth and asset managers, that is funds, that is family offices, that is private banks, and well, we have a bit over 100 clients right now in the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Malta, and we've signed the first client in France. The majority is independent wealth and asset manager, but for example, we're also servicing DEPAM, that's the biggest Belgian private bank.
Yep.
A part of ABN is using our software. We've got a couple of funds, a couple of family offices. So yeah, it's spread out, but the majority is wealth managers.
And so what is triggering now mostly the use of it? Is it basically the compliance and regulations that are driving people towards you to help them basically stay compliant at effective costs, or is it also the fact that they in general the software really needs an overhaul for wealth managers?
Well, it is indeed compliance. I mean, rules and regulations are increasing all the time, and you need to be compliant as a wealth manager, as a fund. So yeah, people want to have a possibility to efficiently organize that. But also it's a way to decrease costs, especially if you see for example, in our custodian broker custodian module. Yep. By using new tech, it's way cheaper than the current solutions that are on the market, and where we're able to disrupt the market in that sense, and also to cut out pieces of the current value chain.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's cost efficiency and compliancy.
No, exactly. And is it easy to implement for them as well? Because I think that could be a hurdle if the implementation is complex.
Yeah, depends on the module. The KYC is really easy to implement. We're launching our credit card model on the website very soon. and then it's just you in real SaaS sense, you leave your data and you'll have your boarding streets the next day. So that's super easy. When you look
Yep.
at portfolio management, that's more difficult because of course you need to supply us with data on what portfolios your clients have, what your
Yep.
investment policy is, what there's way more specifics in that. So there the implementation takes more effort.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so, what is your next step, basically, right? So, I think you're on a pretty strong growth path. I think it's really nice to see that you're very successful in expanding at a rapid pace. I think from that perspective, the Corona situation didn't really stop you from growth there, but maybe even accelerated it. So, what's next? Where should we expect you in a couple of years from now?
What we're growing to, what we're aiming for is to have, we want to be the #1 wealth tech provider in Europe, and we want to have 1,000 clients in 3 years across Europe. Of course, that entails that we need to internationalize further, that we need to build on our current countries to expand the client base there. And that also entails that I'm gonna raise a big round next year. And the reason to do that is twofold. We want to grow autonomously, but also we would like to pursue a buy and build strategy, because we believe that our part of the industry is still pretty localized. We're a B2B business, so B2B means building trust. We see that our client base is super sticky because we're really in the core of these clients.
Yep.
So as soon as you're in and you're giving a good service, clients will stay with you. But a good reason to enter new geographies and to speed up the growth of our client base is through buy and build.
Yep.
So it's a twofold strategy in that sense, and I'm going to raise a big round for that next year.
It's well, good luck with that. In any case, that's a nice challenge ahead of you again. But if you look at the country by country growth, do you see that most of the wealth managers really have a local domain that they tend to serve, or is it also regulatory driven that you actually have to look at it country by country?
Well, the many there's some regulatory things that are differently, and for example, when you look at the KYC, those are not too big. I mean, the internationalization challenges are doable there, in the sense that there is some local adaptations to MiFID II to AML. But when you consider that in general, there are, of course, elements coming back all the time.
Yeah.
So when I look at our own software, actually the most strict ways of identification, for example, are already included. So, well, some countries use the more strict ways, other countries use the more lenient ways, but that's all very easy to accommodate. When you look at the PMS, that's country agnostic. Doesn't matter what country. I mean, a portfolio works in a certain way, and of course you need to offer in the instruments that are available in the country. I mean, the Netherlands is more into options than France, for example.
Okay.
But that is agnostic.
Yeah.
When you look at the broker custodian, it's a bit different because, well, also for the PMS a bit, what's different is that you need different custody banks to be connected to your portfolio management system.
Yep.
So that differs but that's not too difficult. But for the broker custodian, there's different taxes on investments, but also different regulatory requirements, and that is more difficult. And when we started, we didn't see any real European solutions at that point. So what we did is build from scratch for internationalization by having the calculation parts in a different way than like the real engine.
Okay.
So we designed for that from scratch. But what you see is that, there are many local parties. And some of them, yeah, I mean, portfolio management is nothing new, but there are just quite a few legacy players. Yeah, that could definitely use new tech. And what you see, I find it fascinating that you, for example, know everything about fintech, because I think fintech is a super complicated vertical because it's so specific and niche all the time. And what you see also in our wealth tech vertical, for example, I'm now looking at a party, another European party that has an add-on for our portfolio management system. It has a very specific way of calculating risk in portfolios and just a slightly different reporting, so yeah, there's lots of add-ons to imagine. Yeah, that would be useful for our clients as well, and that yeah, we could help them with additional products.
Yeah, well, I think from that perspective, fintech is not just a very niche vertical; it's also very broad. So it's a bit like saying that you know everything about the universe, right? There might be a lot of knowledge around, but we still know nothing, right? So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I totally agree.
So cool. And so how do you find? What's interesting that there was the Financial Stability Board issued a report recently about the use of RegTech solutions in the market, and that they're really positive about how regulators as well as regulated companies are using technology to stay compliant or to do monitoring or reporting. How do you feel the relationship with the regulators is going? What's your view on the regulatory stance of this?
I do think that regulators could definitely benefit from using technology more. I had a funny example this summer. I was visiting France when the borders were still open, and we were in Champagne in a wine castle, but it was not very busy because it was Corona already. Yeah, fantastic place to be. It was Corona, so there were not that many people, and there was a pretty small pool, and I was in the pool with the other two guests, and they happened to be two people of the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK. A nice coincidence. And we started discussing this topic as well, actually, and they need to supervise 58,000 financial services firms. And they're, I guess, with 1,000 people or something. They also said to me, it's just not able to supervise all of these. So yeah, it's seeing where we might have additional risk and then zooming in on it. But technology, it's a skill game for them as well, actually. And technology would help in regulating the industry better and in a more fair way.
I would also expect there that we would take a much more data-driven approach rather than the form and checklist approach that we're used to, I would say. Do you think that? I'm curious also, maybe because you got to also maybe sense a little bit about how enthusiastic were they about this perspective? Because it sometimes feels a bit that not at all. Okay.
No, they were not very much into adopting digital technology.
Yeah, that's a shame then, right? If you actually see that it's necessary, but you still can't really get yourself to be enthusiastic about it. That's maybe a big barrier, especially on the regulatory side. I think, let's say most corporations and commercial entities, I think, are by now they've adopted it and they understand that there's no other way to be able to do this. But it would be good to also on the regulatory side, I think, make the next steps.
But it's in their DNA. They dislike risk, and having a new way of doing things entails a risk. So yeah, it's always difficult then to adopt something new.
Yeah.
But I'd like some more innovation in the regulators, yes.
I think we need it in any case. The world is changing very fast with new types of players, I think, coming into the market, as well as that the nature of the parties you're looking at is changing at the same time as well. I think we definitely need to sort of rethink the way that we govern all of that and keep the whole system safe, because I think that's also at least what's driving me to care about this, the fact that I believe we're looking at the wrong things here to keep everything safe.
Yeah. Well, we're also looking at the right things, but we have to consider that we don't exaggerate what we're asking and what is necessary, and there could be a smarter approach to it, at least. That I agree upon.
No, I think so too. Maybe also interesting in that light is I think we also saw that there were some crypto fines being issued this week because of the Bitcoin mixers in the US. At the same time, we see, of course, now that also some let's say larger financial institutions are picking up on Bitcoin, like PayPal, for example.
Yeah, JP Morgan.
And JP Morgan, exactly, are experimenting with their own coin, which I think is also quite interesting, how they're basically pushing that forward. Are you getting questions about processing crypto as well, for example, on your platform? How do you look at that?
Yeah, we have 1 or 2 crypto providers as in our client base. Sorry, it's just a small bit of corona. No joking. At least I hope I'm joking. No, we have 1 or 2 in our client base, and indeed the questions are increasing. Of course, it's not necessary right now yet in the Netherlands to. Well, it's not regulated yet, but I guess we're moving towards more regulation, and of course, from a business point of view, I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
From a business point of view, that's a beautiful thing. Then, on the other hand, it's not the thought behind Bitcoin to be regulated, so it violates a bit the idea of Bitcoin. Yep. And that was actually also my first reaction on reading the JPM, the JP Morgan coin. That in some sense, it's an institutional financial party that then picks up something that is meant not to be institutional. So in some way, my first reaction was, hey, that's why. But on the other hand, I think it's a very good development, actually, because it needs to, in order for the Bitcoin to well, gain more credibility with the larger public, and not be like some gray area criminal feeling like a coin, or hacker coin, or whatever coin you want to use it for. I think it's good that actually these institutional parties are adopting it. And what I loved also in the JP Morgan story is that they want to white label it for central banks to create their own new currency again. And yeah, that I think will really give a spurt, and that's a real innovation in the system. And then I think it's a nice thing when innovation and the traditional systems come together and start to work together, because there's strength in both the institutional side, and the more traditional ways of doing things, and more stable. And then the new tech, the innovation, if we work together, if we cooperate, we're strongest. So I really like that, actually.
Yeah, I think it's definitely good. I'm also curious how it's going to work out in practice, what the real added value is, as most of the money that's going around is pretty much digital. Right, so I think you're really talking about a shake-up of the system more in the relationship between central banks, and customers. It's somewhere in that relationship actually where the change is happening. But for the end user, it might not really matter what kind of coin they're spending, whether that's a euro or a Morgan coin or a ECB coin or whatever. So I think.
No, that's right. As long as it's liquid and.
Yeah. Oh, you turned it off. Yeah, you're on.
Now?
Yeah.
Sorry, I on accident pushed the button. I'm talking too wildly. But I am enthusiastic about the subject.
Yeah.
That's
exactly. I think it's really, really interesting to see where that's taken us. And I think it's really it's a big change agent. And pretty hard to predict where it's actually exactly going to go. But it's exciting that everyone's at least exploring possibilities here. And so, what do you think?
Yeah, and indeed, institutionalizing it would be good for us, because then we could indeed, the cryptocurrency brokers are on our list of target customers. So when there's more regulation, it's good for Blanco.
And so, for example, now in the Dutch market, they don't get a license, but they need to be registered at the Dutch Central Bank. Is that already enough for you to work to be able to work with them?
Oh, well, we can work. We can work with anybody. We can even work with somebody selling gold in a pawn shop at the corner. So it's they don't need to comply yet with certain legislation, but that doesn't mean that it would be good for them to already do so. And even if you don't want to comply to this legislation, it's also the added value of the product is not only being compliant, it's also about knowing your client, knowing who are you dealing with, and what's in the mind of your client, and am I then selling the right product to this client, yes or no? So yeah, it's, even if you don't want to comply, it's good to have the KYC to have all the information of your client in one place. And also, when you would need to become regulated, you're safe already, and you don't need to do like an entire backlog operation in order to get all your clients through the street and then hope that everybody's okay.
I think, but of course, we come from a time where people were explicitly looking at this area to do their business because they didn't want to be KYC'd, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. And there's still of course a lot going on there, which with parties that would not have a very favorable outcome when they would do the KYC, I guess. I mean, yeah.
And so Bernadette, what do you think about let's say, if we look a little bit ahead towards the future of wealth management, right? So I think we've seen neo brokers very much on the rise. So people independently making investments. I think it's also interesting what was in the news this week is the company that's actually allowing people to start participating in IPOs. I think it's something that I've been looking for also for quite a while.
Yeah, nice.
I think that's really, it's just really, really nice to see how it becomes possible because it's always been a bit of a shady area for people to participate, right? So you have to bring quite a big bag of money to be able to participate in IPOs, and now enabling that for retail investors, I think is really, really relevant to let's say, good for democratization of finance, I'd say. But how do you see it evolve from here? So, right, because you're focused mostly on the advisors that help that basically invest or help customers create a portfolio and manage it. So you also see the independent role popping up and growing very fast. At the same time, we see also that the pension industry is sort of being broken up and opened up very slowly towards alternative ways of working. What excites you in this field?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think will happen next?
Well, I also do think that wealth management is getting more and more democratized, but especially by companies like us, by new tech, because the field used to be a field where also you only would be served when you came with a big bag of money, so only the real high net worth individuals. But by offering solutions with new tech that are way cheaper, it's also cheaper for these wealth and asset managers to open up their market for other types of clients. And the nice thing, what we're also seeing with our clients, is that many wealth and asset managers who only used to do business in the more traditional way open up lower cost channels or digital only channels in order to grow this target group. And I think that's a very good thing. I also, with Blanco, we want to create more financial inclusion. Because pensions are there are more people that need a pension nowadays because the state pensions are getting less. We really have a pension problem going forward. besides, interest rates are really low or negative. So whenever you want to build some capital, which everybody needs, in my opinion, in order, well, when we're 68 or something, to have a decent income, you need to have, well, an income, but you also need to do that by investing or having a wealth manager help you. So I think also our business is democratized actually.
Yeah, well, I think that's nice. And do you also think that let's say the pension industry is something that's on your radar, where let's say sort of additional services would fit in well, so that you basically would build in a pension module on your services, for example?
Yeah, but when you look at third pillar pension, that's easily fittable, or easily fittable. We can serve that right away. It's third pillar pension is investing.
No, so
it has a different tax.
Exactly. So I mean basically more towards second pillar, because it basically tax incentivized pension investing, right?
Yeah. It's not on our roadmap right now, but it definitely might be in the future.
Yeah, just curious. I think I'm very curious also how this industry will fall. I think there's of course technology allows for a lot of changes there, but at the same time we see also that it's still a highly political discussion about interest rates, the exact the framework in which the pensions are being provided. There's still a lot to be debated about.
Yeah.
Just some questions coming in. Just want to check in with you, just to answer the question from Tarun here about the issues when working in the public cloud with Blanco software. Can you explain a little bit about that? Whether you how you manage the public cloud compared to all the regulatory requirements?
Well, we built indeed serverless in AWS. In the majority of the countries, that's actually no problem. Luxembourg and Switzerland are a bit different in the sense that they would like to have their data in their country. So there it's a bit more difficult to enter these markets. But in general, other regulators don't mind. They're fine. There's actually a lot of security around these around AWS in general. They have their own security policies. We have our security policies. Data is in Europe, in Frankfurt. We're not having any trouble with that in the majority of the markets.
No, cool. I think I think it is sometimes still a challenge for some providers to actually work with the public cloud, because it's still it's relatively fresh that we've gotten used to actually use the public cloud for financial services. But it's good to see that in most cases now this actually works well, and that you're allowed to fulfill your services like that.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, when we're selling to wealth and asset managers, that's a different trajectory than, for example, when we're selling to ABN AMRO, when there's way more committees on cloud security, etc. But also we really see an adoption both actually across our vertical.
Oh, cool. It's good to hear. So is there anything exciting we should be looking out for, Bernadette, from either Blanco or other news or things that you think are upcoming that we should look out for?
Wow.
Well,
that's a difficult question.
Maybe the end of Corona pandemic and lockdowns, to be able to raise the glass again together. That might be one.
Yeah, that would be really good indeed. That might be a really good one. Yeah, and I think still this weekend I'm going to celebrate our 5th year, last from myself, with a glass of champagne. That's nice as well. But no, there's lots of things to come. I mean, we're evolving in a super fast speed, and we're launching new products and modules, and well, let's hope for the next new takeover in the beginning of next year, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
That might be
and
nice.
Also, by the way, just to remind me, I think you also said that you have quite some vacancies outstanding, right?
Yeah, we have 12.
Wow. So so I think that's also good for people to know about, to check out your website and see what's going on there. Yeah, plenty to do. Yeah, I think we're already basically past our time, Bernadette. But it's been a lot of fun to talk to you about everything that's going on in wealth tech and with Blanco, of course. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Very
Thanks.
good. So looking forward to talk to you again soon. And definitely very much thank you for joining us and sharing your story here with everyone today. Thanks for all the listeners as well to join in. Thanks for the questions. Very much looking forward to talk to you again next week, same time.